I want to talk for a minute about the S23 Ultra as some news came out, some leaks and rumors from the normally reliable ICE universe that the plan to go with Exynos for more models for next year is actually being scrapped, and they have signed on to feature Snapdragon chips across the entire range of devices, both North America, Asia, and Europe. And while a couple of years ago, that would have been cause for celebration, especially our friends in Europe who have been saddled with the Exynos version for the last couple of years. Now, to me, it's a little bit disappointing because it just kind of gets to where Samsung is a little stubborn, a little hard-headed. I just think they're in a position, or at least they have this confidence of somebody who is in a position that they never feel like they're going to be challenged for their flagship dominance on the Android side. They come out with these devices. I gave them a pass last year. Okay, the Snapdragon 888, you want to say not that power efficient. So an S21 Ultra could be a little bit poor on battery life. That's fine. They tried throughout the year to make it a little bit better, and they did. You got about an extra half hour of screen on time. Now we come out with the S22 Ultra, and hey, guess what? Similar issue, right? We're dealing with the battery drain. We're dealing with poor battery life for a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. I get comments every single day on my battery efficiency videos for the S22 Ultra of people complaining and saying, hey, I paid good money. I paid $1,200 for this. This should have, at a flagship level, better battery performance. And the reason why I'm disappointed, we don't even know what the Snapdragon, whatever they're going to call it, the Series 8 Gen 2, whatever it happens to be, okay? But I knew for this phone, the S22 Ultra, that for the Gen 1, we were going to be in trouble back in December when the original benchmarks or kind of loose testing of the chips for this year started to reveal some heat issues, right? Poor heat dissipation, poor heat efficiency, poor power efficiency. That was all you need to know. I don't care what else they put out after that. Samsung wasn't going to be able to fix it. And I think that because of the fact that they released this so early in the year, so close to the introduction of the latest and greatest Snapdragon chip, that they never really work with the chip itself, or they're working with prototypes that they won't work with the finished version, or something like that, where they don't have enough lead time with the actual phones and chipsets themselves to optimize them and lock them in for power efficiency. They're kind of at the mercy of whatever Snapdragon is going to give them. Are they giving them a power efficient flagship chip? Then you're okay. Are they giving them one that's not so power efficient? Then they're in hot water. And like the Note version used to come out later in the year, I used to question, it's like, geez, why don't they just wait? Why didn't they release it earlier and get the latest Snapdragon in there so you feel like you're getting the latest and greatest specs for your money? I've completely turned around on that. I've seen the light in the value of having time with a chipset, having time with a device, taking extra time with a device to make it right. And that's something that Samsung is just full speed ahead with not doing that. And years ago, when Apple went to making their own silicon, when Huawei went to making their own silicon, Samsung, with their resources and their position in the Android market, should have invested heavily in coming up with their own custom chip that they could build from the ground up. They could have all these power efficiencies built in. They could still have the speed and the efficiency and all the rest of it and the flagship level power, because what even is flagship level power now? You've got a lot of different chipsets and a lot of different phones offering pretty darn good performance that could last a heck of a lot longer than this device can. And that's something that Samsung really needs to take to heart, because they got LG off in a waste dump somewhere. They've got Sony making camera phones and playing around with whatever they're doing at a weird budget level. There's really nobody that you're thinking at this level is going to come out with something that can challenge them until now. I'll tell you this, we've had a lot of fun making fun of Google on this channel and some of the Pixels that have come out. And it's still totally possible that they could step on their own tail with the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro, because they do it all the time. It wouldn't be new. It wouldn't be out of character. It wouldn't be an aberration for Google to just stumble over themselves out of the block with a Pixel device. However, if they're all able to work on and optimize and build on the fact that the Pixel 6 on Android 13 is running, I think, even a little bit better than Android 12 on the S22 Ultra, Samsung's going to be in trouble. As you see Jean helping out with the video with her little snarfles in the background. She's not feeling well. But you have a device that's going to be perfectly capable. It's going to have a great camera. Has the build quality, right? They fixed that part of it. It's not that kind of goofy build quality now. This is a premium flagship build that now is going to be able to rival them on performance. And it's going to do it $300 less. Okay? Now Samsung has to be paying attention. To me, they're lost. They have a very bizarrely complicated product line. I'm not even going to call it diverse, because a diverse product line means that there's some utility there, means that there's some usefulness to having 37 different phones. It was the thing that Steve Jobs worked on when he got back to Apple. He looked at the product line. He said, why do we have 97 different devices? And the engineers, he sat them down and he said, tell me what all these ones different do. Why should I buy a Performa over a Quadra? Why should I buy this over that, a Mac SE over this? And none of them could answer him. So he said, you know what? Slashing it. Too many A-series devices, too many of even the S flagship tier devices, the regular S line, then you have the Samsung, the Fan Edition, and all the rest of it. Just too many things going on the Samsung line. They need to get it together. They need to hunker down. They need to scrap the name Exynos, but keep the idea. Have a custom flagship chip that's optimized for them in-house, their own silicon. Even if they do something like Google did, make a highly modified version of a chip that you could somewhat call your own, but you're working with the chipset from the ground up from the beginning, so then you could then wire the phones in and the software in to be not only powerful, but also power efficient. But to me, when I hear that they're just going to Snapdragon, they're just going to run it back again. Just running it back, and you're going to have the same problems with the S23 Ultra that you had with the 22 Ultra and you have with the 21 Ultra when it comes to battery life. It shouldn't be acceptable for a flagship to struggle with battery life. It just shouldn't. And I'll tell you what, in the long run, with Samsung, you're not going to win forever just putting in the Snapdragon flavor of the month or the year and X amount of RAM and this, and you're going to have the nice display and all the rest of it. It's not going to work. At some point, there has to be something that's uniquely Samsung that goes into these devices to make it work. Because there's going to be somebody that comes along eventually, whether it's a Xiaomi, all right, that's always going to match you spec for spec. A Xiaomi, a couple months later, always comes out with a device that rivals the S22 series or the S line of devices and said, oh yeah, by the way, $300 less. Yeah, we got one of those. Snapdragon quadruple 9. Yeah, we got one of those in here. 12 gigs of RAM. MIUI is pretty fast, pretty smooth. We got a nice display and all the rest of it. Yeah, we're doing it for less. Eventually, there's going to be somebody that takes advantage of the fact that I think Samsung's getting a little complacent, and I hope they're working on their custom chip, because I like their devices. I love the S22 Ultra. I love the performance. I love how smooth it is. I love the S Pen. I love the design and the premium build. They're still top of the food chain, but you don't get to stay there forever just because you're there. There has to be something more. And I hope that for the S24 Ultra, that they're working hard, like Apple did, like Huawei did, like Google is now, at providing something that is their own, that has the battery life that you'd expect from a flagship in 2020, well, it'd be 2023 and beyond, that you're paying top dollar for, right? And then right now you get away with it because there's nobody else. You're top of the food chain, you provide the best product, but you charge the most for it. But you're not going to have any sympathy if you start falling off. If somebody like a Google or a Xiaomi or somebody comes along and says, oh yeah, by the way, we're offering that, but it's a few $100s less, people are going to ditch Samsung. Now listen, I'm a Samsung fan. Have been for years. Love their devices. But I could see that we're just kind of running into the same problems over and over and over again. And eventually, that stuff catches up with you. As bad as the competition has been in challenging them, eventually, somebody's going to get that right. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.